I never thought in my lifetime that a young person who's 25 years can run for office in Nigeria. I never thought that in my lifetime it was going to happen that I would see that our Constitution is amended to reduce the age for running for office. And I'll tell you why. Because I come from a country that does not consider its youth population as an asset, but rather expends young people and instrumentalize them for violence. I come from a country that does not care about the future and cares about investing in the future, but more about exploiting the youth population. But young Nigerians got angry that democracy was not delivering development to the people, and angry that we've got a culture of recycling leaders. And as we speak today, we still have people who were ruling us in the 70s and in the 80s still in the realms of power. But how can a country and a continent that boasts to be the youngest continent or the youngest country in Africa be led by a minority? Because politically or demographically, young people are a majority, but politically they are a minority. And that is why Boko Haram would always have a recruiting ground, because our ruling political elite have not appreciated the cost of exclusion. And what young people did was to look in the face of anger, disenchantment, and loss of faith in political institutions. We raise up to say it is enough. Because we got a constitution that says on one hand you are eligible to vote when you're 18, but you have to wait for 22 years before you can run for president. Or you have to wait for 17 years before you can run for the upper legislative chamber, because before the not too young to run, you have to be 40 to be president of Nigeria. You have to be 35 to be a member of the upper legislative chamber. And you have to be 30 to be a member of the lower house. And we felt it was actually injustice. And young people decided to change their constitution from the streets, using their phones, and by building a strong alliance with an older generation that cared about inclusive politics. Today in Nigeria, with the Not Too Young to Run movement, we've been able to amend our constitution. Nigeria operates a very rigid constitution. It is difficult to amend our constitution. You need two-thirds majority of both chambers in the National Assembly. You need 24 states out of 36 states of the Federation. And you know, as a pluralistic society, it is very, very difficult to generate consensus. But young people made that happen. And for the first time in 10 years since we started struggling to amend our constitution, we attained victory. And what young people did was to renew their faith in democracy. And what really stands out was the fact that my parents are not politicians. My parents are not highly placed. But I come from a country where you need to be highly placed and be connected to actually drive change. But what we did with Not Too Young to Run was to say, it doesn't matter your family background or your geographical extraction, that democracy is about inclusion. And we built a strong narrative about the power of inclusion. And we galvanized young people, and they changed their constitution. And today we are celebrated across the world. The United Nations adopted the Not Too Young to Run, ECOWAS did, as well as the African Union has adopted the Not Too Young to Run as a global campaign. And today, thank you. As we speak, we're going into an election. For the first time since return to democracy, we've got younger people getting interested to run for the office of the president. For the first time, the percentage of young people who are indicating interest to run for office is increasing. But we didn't just ask that young people should run for office. But again, it boils down to the question, and Madeline makes a very vital point about the concept of democracy. We can't continue with this kind and this caliber of leadership if we care about the future. We can't talk about development if young people are not in the room. And that is what Not Too Young to Run seeks to do. And I'd like to pay a personal tribute to NDI for the support provided to Yaga Africa and the Not Too Young to Run movement in ensuring that our constitution was amended. NDI was with us all the way on the streets when we stood for hours to get our constitution amended, down to the villages. NDI was there with all the support. And I stand here humbled and really privileged and to say thank you very, very much for the support. And I want to assure you that that revolution that we aspire and we desire so much, the foundation has been laid. And in 2023, we will have a new cadre of leadership that will not just rule Nigeria, but will rule Africa. Thank you.